أهلا بيكم أعزائي طلبة وطالبات الصف الثالث الإعدادي في حلقة جديدة من حلقات الساينس تحت رعاية وإشراف وزارة التربية والتعليم. In the previous sessions we passed about the different forms of speed, and today we are going to take the last form of it, but at the beginning let's summarize the three previous forms. We took the uniform speed and we know the definition of it and how can we calculate it, and we practice different types of problem on it. And we took the non-uniform speed or irregular speed, and we know previously that we can't calculate it, so we moved in the other type, which is average speed, that if I change my speed and I have different distances and different time, so I'm going to use this type, which is average speed, by calculating total distance and total time and divided them. And let's move برضو in a part that we have to use a certain type of units, either meter per second or kilometer per hour, and if I have any one of them, I have to change it to another one by using the number which is 5/18 when I convert from kilometer per hour to meter per second by time, and when the opposite from meter per second to kilometer per hour divided 5/18. Now let's start the last type of this forms of speed, which is called relative speed. In this type we are going to move in our daily life and see a certain events or conditions happens all around us. Let me ask you a question. Every day you are riding the car with your parent, and you look in the window, from the window to the other car which is moving in the other side of you. What do you observe? You are going to tell me what's meaning, but what do you observe? I'm seeing the car is moving. No, but in this case we are going to stop here to know that the movement of the car or the speed of the car will be different according to a position of a body which is called observer. طب what's the meaning of observer? Observer means somebody who is observe the movement of the other car or the movement of other bus. Observer in Arabic means واحد بيراقب، يعني somebody is looking and the other is moving. Maybe the observer moving as the other one, and maybe standing, or هنشوف دلوقتي the different cases. يبقى now we are going to speak about certain circumstances that the speed may be differ. How? Let's go and see now what's meant by relative speed at the beginning, and then we are going to move in different cases, which is very interesting and you can see it in our daily life, but you didn't say why it happens. Now we are going to clarify these events to you. First of all, what's meant by relative speed? The word relative alone, it means comparing to something else, relative to the car, relative to the desk, relative to something else. So I'm going to compare two quantities together. طب يبقى what's meant by relative speed? It's the speed of a moving body relative to the observer. يعني ايه؟ يعني لازم يبقى فيه moving body? Yes, it should be moving body. The moving body may be a bus, maybe a car, maybe bike, on any moving body. طيب relative to mean relative to an observer. Observer, somebody else who observe the speed of the other body, which is car or whatever. Okay? طيب again يبقى what's meant by relative speed? Relative speed, it means that form of speed or a type of speed in which the moving body relative, it's the speed of a moving body relative to what? Observer. يعني my keyword here, when he asked me write scientific term, if I see the word observer, so I'm going to write relative speed. This is the keyword to solve the problem, to solve the right scientific term. If he said to you the speed of moving car relative to observer, highlight the word observer and then you are going to write the relative speed. طب let's explain what the meaning of this definition. طيب. Let's go now. I'm going to tell you a story. If you are riding, if you are in a train, in a trip, so your train passing in certain direction, and other train is moving in the opposite direction of you. Opposite direction of you. Okay? طب, let's think together كده. What's your first observation if you are in a certain train and the other one coming opposite to you, in the opposite direction of you? Can you see this train carefully, or you can see it pass quickly, so you can't recognize any passengers, or you can't see anything beside you? Yes, of course. You can see that the train moving very fast. طب, why we can see the train in this case moving very fast? Or maybe the other bus, when you're going to school and your bus moving in certain direction and the other bus moving in the opposite direction of you. Opposite direction of you. Type, why we can see this train or this bus moving very fast? Here we are the observer. I am in the next bus, or I am in the next train, I am the observer. Here, in this case, I'm going to see the speed of this train, of this car, more than its real speed. Why? Because your mindset make addition for the speed of your train plus the speed of the opposite train, so you can see it more than its speed. So you can't recognize the speed of it. You can't you can't wave to your friend in the next bus. يبقى here, when the two buses or the two trains are moving opposite to each other, so the speed here, it's not real speed. It's called relative speed. And it will be more than the real speed of the train. Okay? Let's see how. In this case, here we have two cars here. The first car moving with 20 meters per second, and the other car moving in the opposite direction with 50 meters per second. Okay, here the observer in the car number one, the red car, see the other car, which is the blue car, moving with more than its speed. Why? Because here the observer add his speed plus the speed of the opposite car. So when the two objects or when the two buses or cars are moving in the opposite direction, make addition. Addition of what? Addition of the speed of the two cars. My car as an observer and the other speed of the other car. So here in this this problem, so V1 plus V2 equal 80 plus 50, which is 130 meters per second. Again, in this case, this is the first case in the relative speed. When the two moving objects are moving in the opposite direction of each other, we can see the speed more than the real speed. Why? Because here the relative speed is the addition of the two speeds. Yani I'm going to add the two speeds together, so it's more than the real speed. Okay? So now you know why you see the train passing very quickly. Maybe its speed is less than you or more than you, but you are going to see it more than its real speed. Okay? Let's move to the case 2. In case 2, I said here, the two moving objects are moving but in the same direction. Me and my friend, we are riding our cars, but we are in the same direction, in the same lane together. So I can wave to her, I can get something from her, okay? Why in this case I can see her and I can wave to her? Because in this case, me as an observer, I can see her less than its real speed. Why? Because when two moving objects are moving in the same direction, we are going to subtract the two speeds. يبقى same direction, subtraction. Same direction, subtraction. Subtraction of what? Subtraction of the two speeds. The speed of the observer and the speed of the other car. So look here in this example. The red car moving with 30 meters per second, while the other car moving with 40 meters per second. And me as an observer in the white car. So here the relative speed equal V2 minus V1. What's V2 and what's V1? V2 is the observer car and the V1 the other car. So I'm going to subtract both. Tab here, after the subtraction, I can see the car less moving with a speed less than its original speed. So you can know why now you can wave to your colleague from the bus when moving in your same direction, but you can't wave to him when he's moving in the opposite direction. Let's sum up those cases. In the first case, when the two cars are moving in the opposite direction, the observer can see the other car, the speed of the other car, more than its real speed because of the addition of the two speeds. يبقى opposite direction, I'm going to make addition. But if the two cars are moving in the same direction together, the average speed here is less than the real speed because we are going to subtract the two speeds from each other. Okay? Let's move to the third case of the relative speed. If you are, as an observer, standing on the street, standing, waiting a bus or waiting for a friend, and the cars are moving all around you, can you tell me what do you recognize for the speed of the car moving either in your same direction or the opposite direction of you, or maybe you're sitting down in your car but you are not in moving state, you are at rest. And you have to pay attention from this word. What's the meaning by the body at rest? Means that the body with no speed, no movement. Either I'm standing in the street or even I'm riding my car, but I'm not riding. I'm just sitting in my car with zero speed. And I have two terminology now, the same definition of the same meaning, which is zero speed or body at rest. It means that no movement. Type. If you are in no movement, body at rest, standing at the street, what do you recognize for the movement of those cars? You can see them moving with its original speed. Yani if the car is moving in front of me by 50 kilometers per hour, so I can see the speed, its original speed as it is, its real speed. If it is moving in the opposite direction of me with 20 meters per second, I can see it with its real speed. Why in this case I can see the car moving with its real speed? Because me as an observer, I have no speed. I am at rest, so my speed is zero. So if I add this, the speed of the opposite car, to zero, it's the same. If I subtract the speed of the opposite car from zero, it's the same speed. So here, you know now why if you are at rest with zero speed, you can see the movement of the other car by its real speed. So now I'm explaining you why you can see it in its real speed. So now in the case of relative speed, we are going to classify them in three cases. Either, first of all, in this case, you should have an observer. The observer is found in other car or standing or whatever. The observer, in the first case, the two cars are moving in opposite direction of each other, so you can see the speed of this car higher or more than its original or real speed because you are going to add the two speeds together. If the two cars are moving in the same direction to each other, you can see its speed lower than its real speed. Why? Because your mind عمل إيه؟ عمل subtraction for both speeds, so you can see it lower than its real speed. طب you are as an observer at rest, zero speed. In this case, you can see the car moving with its real speed. Okay? It's very important to recognize that because we are going to use it in solving different types of problems. Let's move now and take a note. Here, if the two bodies are moving in the same direction with the same speed, complete, as a complete. So the relative speed here is what? Type. Let's see how. Me and my colleague riding our cars in the same direction with the same speed. Type. Each one of us, we can see both of us are at rest. يعني احنا سايقين بس هنشوف بعض واقفين. Why? I said before that if the two cars are moving in the same direction, subtraction type. We are moving with the same speed type. Subtract the same speed, so the result is a 0. Type here, you know now why if you are moving together in the same direction with the same speed, you can see each other at rest or with 0 speed, because this is the same direction, the same speed, so we're going to subtract and the result is 0. Next point, if the two moving cars are moving in opposite direction with the same speed, opposite direction with the same speed. I said when you're moving in opposite direction, I make addition. Tap opposite direction with the same speed, like مثلا one with 100 kilometer and the other with 100 kilometer, but they are in opposite direction. So the relative speed here is what? Is double the real speed. يبقى here, this kind of question ما تقوليش and I don't have numbers to calculate it. No, because if I give it to you, so you recognize that if they are moving in the opposite direction, same speed, anyway, the relative speed will be double the speed. So write this relative speed will be double without mentioning number. Okay? Why? Because I'm going to add both together. So if it is 5, يبقى 5 plus 5 equal 10. 10 plus 10 equal 20, and so on. So again, if the two moving cars are moving in the opposite direction but with the same speed, so the net relative speed here is double the real speed. Okay, type. Let's go and take exercise number 1 to summarize the relative speeds. Here in this problem, he said two cars move in the same direction. Here, you have to highlight at the beginning the movement of the car. Either they are moving in the same direction or they are moving in the opposite direction, because it's the key for the solving of problems. First of all, I'm going to highlight on the same direction or underline it. Type. Okay. If the speed of the first car is 50 kilometers per hour and the speed of the second car is 70 kilometers per hour, calculate the relative speed of the second car relative to the observer. Okay. طيب هنا I'm going to focus on ايه؟ on حاجتين. Where is the observer and the direction of the two cars. Here he said to me that the two cars are moving in the same direction. طب على طول اقول ايه؟ same direction, subtraction. I'm going to subtract what? The two speeds. طب what do you expect? It will be more than the real speed or less than the real speed. So actually فعلا هتبقى less than the real speed because of subtraction. طب let's go and move into the data here. He wants me to calculate the speed of the second car relative to an observer if the observer standing on the ground. يعني me as an observer standing on the ground, واقفة مستنية الباص مستنية أي حاجة, and then the two cars are moving in front of me. طيب if I want to calculate it to me as the observer standing, so my speed is ايه؟ اتفقنا انها هتبقى ايه؟ 0. So if I'm looking to those cars, so the second car, which is moving with 70 kilometers per hour, me as an observer, I'm standing at rest, I can see the car moving with its real speed, which is 70 kilometers per hour. Just I'm going to take it from the problem and I put it as it is, because as I said, I am at rest. 70 plus 0 or 70 minus 0 here is the same number. تمام؟ Okay, طيب. I'm going to calculate the relative speed relative to observer sitting in the first car. يبقى here the observer sitting in the first car, which is moving with the how many speed? 50 kilometers per hour. طب I want to calculate the relative speed. The speed here of the relative car, the speed in the car number 2 is 70, and the car 1 50, and the observer in the first car can see the other car came 70 plus 50. So here they are moving in the same direction. If I said that they are moving in same direction, subtraction. Same direction, subtraction. So I'm going to subtract the speed of the second car, which is 70, minus speed of the car of the observer, which is 50. So the relative speed here will be 20, which is less than the original speed, or less than the real speed of the car. Here, next move to the third part. What are your conclusion from the result? Here you calculate once when you are observer and standing, and next when you are sitting in the first car and this car moving in the same direction. So what you are concluding? الconclusion بتاعتك ايه? Here we are conclude that if I want to calculate the relative speed, depending on حاجتين. Relative speed depend on number 1, the position of the observer and the direction of the observer, or direction of the two cars. يعني me as an observer in a car and the other car. So حاجتين بيتحكموا في الريزلت بتاعت relative speed, either the position and the direction of the observer. Okay, so if he asks you what are the factors affecting the relative speed, I have to put two factors, which are number 1, position and direction of the observer. Let's move to another exercise. Two trains move parallel to each other. But in the opposite direction. Here I'm going to underline the direction in the opposite. And my mindset said to me, opposite direction? Opposite direction, what I'm going to do? I said same direction, subtraction. Opposite direction, addition of the two speeds. Type. The speed of the first train is 60 kilometers per hour, and the speed of the second train is 90 kilometers per hour, and he wants to calculate the relative speed of the first car that is observed by the passenger in the second train. He have to mention to me in all the problems where is the observer to know is it in the same direction or in the opposite direction, so I can calculate it easily. So here I'm focusing that the two trains moving in the opposite direction. Okay, so opposite direction, addition. Here I'm going to put the rule. The relative speed equal the speed of the first car, which is 90 kilometers per hour, plus 60 kilometers per hour. So here the relative speed will be 150 kilometers per hour. Does it more or less than the real speed? Actually, it's more than the real speed because I'm adding the two speeds together. Now, third types of problems. Two cars are moving in the same direction. If the speed of the first car is 50 kilometers per hour and the speed of the second car is 70 kilometers per hour, calculate the relative speed of the second car relative to the observer. في كام case? in 3 cases. The observer in the first case برضو standing on the ground. طب standing on the ground, so the speed of this person is 0, body at rest. So here this person can see the second car, which is real speed, which is 70 km/h. So the first answer, that the first speed is 70 km/h. طب let's move to the next part. He wants the relative speed of the sitting relative to an observer sitting in the first car. طب shall we move and see the first car? The speed of the first car here is 50 km, and the observer sitting in this car which moving with 50 km, and the other car moving in the same direction. Same direction. What I'm going to do? Same direction, subtraction of the two speeds. So 70 minus 50 equal 20 km/h. So the person in the car which is moving with 50 km/h can see the other car which is real speed بتاعتها 70 km/h، هيشوفها كأنها ماشية ب 20 km/h, which is lower than its real speed. Third, برضو, what are your conclusion? The conclusion here, again, why I'm focusing on this part? Because those factors are the factors that affecting the relative speed, which are position and direction of the observer. Let's now sum up what we took before. When we see that the relative speed of moving object relative to an observer equal to its real. امتى اقول انها equal to its real? When the observer at rest. طب when I say that its speed is more than its real speed, when the two moving objects are moving in opposite direction to each other. طب when I say that the real speed, the relative speed is less than the real speed, when the two bodies are moving in the same direction. Thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoyed our lesson of today, and see you next time, inshallah. Bye bye.